Hey everybody, this is Mr. Yev, and today I want to talk to you about infinitives and prepositions. And the reason I want to do that is because sometimes the word to, to, can appear, and sometimes it's confused as a preposition when in fact it's doing something else. And that's what I want to talk about. Now I've got here a list of sentences that feature infinitive verbs. Now what do I mean by infinitive? I mean a verb that does not have time. It is a verb that is not past, is not present, and is not future. It's a verb that does not have any persons or number, and as such is not really conjugated in any way. Okay. It's a way for languages to conceptualize action in the abstract without designating who's doing the action or when it is being done. Just thinking of an action in the abstract, in the ether. Okay, so here's a couple examples. She needs to rest. Right, now we've already got our main verb here, needs. Right, so to rest cannot be that main verb. It's just, in this sense, it's really the object of the verb, needs. And it's a way to think about an action like resting in the abstract. Okay, and then there's some others, right? We love to sing, they like to read, he plans to travel. Now, in English, the designating mark of the infinitive form is the word to. This does not mean that to is operating as a preposition, because rest and sing and read are not objects of a prepositional phrase. They are just actions in the abstract. Okay? Now, this confusion I found in a graphic recently that describes parts of speech. Now, if you look at this graphic, it'll list all of the 8 parts of speech that we conventionally use, and it offers a brief definition for each of these. So we've got noun, pronoun, we've got adjective and adverb, we've got verb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. And then there is a color-coded example sentence at the bottom. And this sentence is designed to show how each of these categories of parts of speech can be used in a conventional sentence. But there is a problem. The sentence says, well, we like to visit old friends now and then. But the word to here is wrongly confused as a preposition, but it is not a preposition. To visit is simply the infinitive form of the verb. All right, and we've already seen verbs do this exact same thing all over here, right? She needs to rest, to sing, to travel, to read, and so on. And that's all that's happening here with the verb to visit. Okay, it's really just the object of the main verb, like. Now, how do I know that I'm wrong? How do I know that I'm not wrong? How do I know that there really is this meaningful distinction between to as a preposition versus to as the marker of the infinitive? Well, there's a couple of ways that we can discern the difference. There's a couple of clues that I think are helpful. One is that the object of a prepositional phrase will typically be a noun. Not always, but typically it'll be some kind of noun. Okay, and one of the ways that we can distinguish nouns from other parts of speech is by inserting an article, like the word the, in front of a noun. And here's a great example, right? Store is obviously a noun, and one of the ways that we can show it to be a noun is that we can put a definite article in front of the word store to make store a definite noun. I like to go to the store. This word to has to be a preposition, right? Because it's followed by just an ordinary noun, store. And if you just read it and you get the sense of it, it's clearly functioning to relate the place store with relationship to the subject I and where I would like to go. I like to go to the store. So to here is a regular preposition because it's followed by a regular noun as designated by this definite article. No problem there. What if we tried to insert a definite article in this color-coded sentence? What would we get? If visit is in fact the object of a preposition, it would have to work something like this. Well, we like to visit old friends now and then. All right, so obviously that doesn't make any sense. And this is one clue that visit is simply not an object, not an ordinary noun that's completing a prepositional phrase. Okay, that's my first clue. Here's the second clue. Typically, prepositions can exchange themselves for another and still make sense within a prepositional phrase. Consider these examples. Above the table makes perfect sense. And you can exchange the word above for other prepositions. Below the table, on top of the table, beside the table. Right? All of those prepositions can be exchanged for another, and we can still have a sensible phrase. Can we exchange the word to for any other preposition in this color-coded sentence? No, we cannot. Let's try this out. Well, we like visit old friends now and then. Well, that doesn't make sense. Well, we like during visit old friends now and then. That also doesn't make sense. What that indicates is that this word to is just not a preposition. And this is not a prepositional phrase. Okay? So to sum up, there's a couple of clues that I think are helpful to figuring out the difference between to as an infinitive form versus to as a preposition. One is, can you insert a definite article in the relating noun? And if not, then it's not a preposition. And two, can you exchange the word to for other prepositions in a sensible way? And if not, then again, what you've simply got is an infinitive. All right, folks, I hope that's been helpful in distinguishing the use of the word to in infinitives and prepositions. This is Mr. Yev. If you like this kind of content and you'd like some private tutoring services, reach out to my website at mryev.com. That's MRYEV.com.